April 1215. A strange silence hangs over the northern plains of China. For months the wind has carried the same smell, smoke, sweat and fear, and beyond the horizon beneath banners of black and crimson a storm of horsemen waits. They say the earth itself trembles when the Mongol hooves begin to move. But in Zhongdu, the city of gold, no one believes the storm will reach them. Within its towering walls, the emperors of the Jin dynasty still dine under chandeliers of jade and crystal. Courtiers whisper of omens, yet the music plays on. They call their city the heart of the world, a fortress that no barbarian can ever touch. But in the north, a man born of wind and hunger has sworn otherwise. Temujin, the one the world will remember as Genghis Khan, rides south with an army forged in blood and silence. He comes not as a conqueror seeking tribute, but as a storm answering an insult that cannot be forgiven. Years before, the Jin emperors demanded that the Mongols newly risen from the steppes bow and pay tribute. When Genghis refused, they sent assassins. When he sent envoys of peace, the Jin executed them. Among the Mongols, to kill an envoy is to spit in the face of heaven itself. And heaven, as the Khan believes, never forgets an insult. So now the avenger of the steppes stands before the jewel of China. Behind him, 150,000 riders, warriors who have crossed deserts and frozen rivers, who have seen cities crumble into dust and kings kneel in chains. Before him, Zhongdu, a city of 500,000 souls wrapped in walls as high as mountains and as proud as their emperor. Inside the city, the mood shifts like firelight. Merchants hoard grain, soldiers sharpen their halberds and whisper of the ghosts from the north, horsemen who move faster than the wind, who fight without sleep, who never leave survivors. But the Jin court refuses to bend. Their generals promise that the walls of Zhongdu are unbreakable, that their towers are strong enough to touch the sky. They will fight for their empire, they say, for their ancestors, their children, their pride. They do not yet understand what pride means to a man who was once a slave. In the Mongol camp, fires glow like stars scattered across the plain. Drums echo through the night. Blacksmiths hammer arrowheads until sparks dance in the dark. Warriors kneel in silence, sharpening blades that have never tasted defeat. Genghis Khan stands apart, watching the city lights flicker on the horizon. His face is calm, his voice low. Every wall has a door, he says. Find it, and when it opens, let the wind do the rest. To his generals, the message is clear. The siege of Zhongdu will not be a battle, it will be a reckoning. The next morning, the first catapults roll forward. Siege towers built from the bones of other conquered cities creak and groan as they move through the mud. The sky darkens with smoke from Mongol forges. From the walls of Zhongdu, archers watch in disbelief. They have seen raiders before, but never an army like this, an army that breathes in unison, that moves like a single living creature. The horns sound. 1,000 Mongol riders surge forward, loosing arrows that blot out the sun. The air fills with the whistle of death. And for the first time in its proud history, the city of gold trembles. In the distance, under the roar of the wind, you could almost hear the prophecy whispered by the old shamans of the steppe. When the horses drink from the rivers of the south and the eagles nest upon golden roofs, the world shall burn anew. As the sun sets behind the Great Wall, the smoke of battle drifts east. From the towers of Zhongdu, the sky glows red, not with victory, but with warning. Somewhere in the darkness, the Khan's voice carries to his men, "Do not forget why we came here. Not for gold, not for glory, but for the silence of our slain brothers." And when night falls, the city's lanterns flicker like dying stars, while the Mongol drums keep beating, steady, relentless, eternal. Because for the warriors of the steppe, this is not conquest, it is justice. And soon the city of gold will burn. Morning breaks over Zhongdu, and the city wakes not to birdsong, but to the low thunder of hooves. On every horizon, the banners of the Mongols ripple like dark fire. Their circles of tents spread for miles, rings within rings, until the steppe itself seems alive. Smoke rises from 1,000 campfires. The drums never stop. Each beat drives another nail into the coffin of the Jin Empire. From the highest tower of the imperial palace, Emperor Xuanzong looks down upon his capital. He sees the enemy, distant yet endless, and turns to his ministers with cold defiance. "They are beasts from the steppe," he says. "We are the sons of heaven. The walls of Zhongdu will stand." But even as he speaks, a faint tremor shakes the floor beneath him. Far away, the Mongols are building siege engines from captured lumber, constructing ramps, trenches, and tunnels beneath the soil. The noose is tightening. Days turn into weeks. From the walls, the defenders can see the enemy's war machines rise like skeletal towers. At night, the plain glows with Mongol forges. The air smells of pine resin and molten iron. The Jin generals boast of numbers, hundreds of thousands of men within the walls, Cavalry crossbows the city's mighty gates guarded by iron lions. They believe the walls are immortal. They believe the city can outlast the storm. But hunger is not something stone can keep out, and fear slips through cracks that no wall can seal. Inside the city, the market's empty. The wells run muddy. Families sell jewelry for rice, then rice for water. Mothers boil leather straps to feed their children. The once glorious Zhongdu begins to rot from within. Yet the emperor orders the music to continue in the palace halls. Every night he commands the court musicians to play louder so that the sound of despair outside the walls cannot reach him. He refuses to surrender. To surrender would mean shame before heaven, and pride in the house of Jin is heavier than gold. Outside, Genghis Khan watches the city in silence. He knows the patterns of hunger, the rhythm of desperation. He has seen it before in the faces of his own people when winter took their herds and hunger took their hearts. To him, Zhongdu is not just a fortress. It is arrogance made stone, and arrogance he knows burns better than wood. The Mongols encircle the city like a tightening fist. No messenger escapes. No supply reaches the gates. Each day their catapults hurl stones, firepots, and rotting corpses over the walls, turning sunlight into ash and fear. From the battlements, Jin soldiers shout curses. From below, the Mongols answer with laughter and drums. And then the first breach. A section of the outer wall collapses under the assault of a siege tower. The Mongols charge only to meet a rain of arrows and boiling oil. They fall, but the next wave climbs over their bodies. The air becomes a storm of screams and smoke. Yet Zhongdu holds, for now. Night after night, the Mongols withdraw to their camps. They light fires in perfect circles, 1,000 burning halos surrounding the doomed city. From the towers, the defenders watch those circles glow through the darkness, each one a silent reminder you are already buried. Somewhere beyond the front lines, Genghis Khan sits before a small fire with his sons and generals. His armor is blackened by soot, his eyes sharp as blades. He speaks quietly, his words measured, deliberate. They still believe their walls will save them. But walls are made by men, and men are made of fear. He turns to his engineers, men captured from the northern kingdoms of China, masters of siegecraft. Show them, he says, how fear burns. In the days that follow, the Mongols unleash new weapons, flaming catapults, oil-soaked arrows, gunpowder bombs scavenged from Chinese alchemists. Each explosion sends tremors through the city, and the defenders begin to see visions of dragons made of fire crawling across their rooftops. The emperor prays to heaven. The priests light incense and chant, but heaven is silent, only the drums of the steppe answer. By mid-spring, the rivers around Zhongdu run thick with ash. The corpses of horses and men float beside broken arrows and shattered banners. The Mongols have cut off every road, every bridge, every hope. Inside, the people whisper that the gods have turned their faces away. The night skies glow red from constant bombardment, and from the highest pagoda one can see the Khan's camp, a black sea that stretches beyond sight, a horizon made of tents and death. Still, the emperor does not yield. Let the barbarians come, he declares. If heaven wills us to fall, then we shall fall as emperors. And so the city braces for the inevitable. The drums grow louder, the smoke thicker, the air heavier. Zhongdu, the city of gold, stands beautiful, defiant, dying. The wind changes. It carries with it the smell of burning oil-singed hair and iron. The siege of Zhongdu has entered its final breath. From the plains, the Mongol drums begin again, slow, thunderous, and unrelenting. Each beat is a heartbeat of war, echoing across the hills and through the city's trembling walls. The Jin soldiers on the ramparts clutch their bows tighter, eyes hollow from sleepless nights. They know what this rhythm means. The storm is about to begin. In the Mongol camp, preparation unfolds with terrifying precision. Lines of cavalry stand silent, horses steaming in the cold dawn. Engineers wheel forward towers taller than the city gates, their frames wrapped in rawhide soaked in vinegar to resist the flames. Huge catapults are loaded with barrels of oil, stone, and fire. Genghis Khan rides along the ranks, his eyes glinting beneath a sky heavy with smoke. He speaks little, his presence alone is command enough. When he raises his hand, 1,000 torches ignite as one. The earth seems to pause for a single breath. Then the steppe exhales. The first volley of fire crashes against Zhongdu's outer walls. Flaming stones arc through the air, trailing ribbons of smoke that paint the morning sky. Each impact shatters, brick crushes men, and fills the air with a sound that drowns all prayers. From the battlements, defenders scream and return fire. Crossbows snap arrows, whistle boiling tar spills down in rivers of black. The Mongols climb over their dead to reach the walls again and again, a tide that cannot be stopped by fear or flame. Through the chaos, the Khan watches motionless. To him, war is not rage, it is mathematics. Every life spent, every arrow loosed, every gate tested and measured until the city's weakness reveals itself. Days blur into nights. Zhongdu becomes a furnace. The Mongols pound the walls without pause, their siege engines roaring like thunder, their horses drinking from rivers that now run red. Inside the city, despair rots what pride had built. The granaries are empty. Men strip bark from trees, scrape moss from stones. Mothers bury their children in courtyards where flowers once grew. The streets reek of smoke, decay, and hopeless prayer. Still, the emperor refuses to surrender. From the balcony of his burning palace, he addresses his soldiers. If we must fall, let it be beneath our own banners. Let Zhongdu's name be carved into heaven's memory. His voice quivers, but his pride does not. He turns from the flames as if they are nothing but light. Outside, the Mongols prepare their final assault. Captured Chinese engineers have built monstrous weapons, great trebuchets, that hurl not just stones but jars of burning oil and sulfur. When they strike, the fire sticks to everything it touches. From the walls, defenders see the sky itself raining fire. The city screams. Roofs collapse. Pagodas ignite, and the once golden towers of Zhongdu turn black beneath the breath of the steppe. The Mongols charge. Horsemen sweep through breaches in the wall, their armor glinting like shards of night. Banners of wolf and flame rise where banners of dragon once flew. Amid the chaos, a young Jin captain rallies his men near the southern gate. His name will never be recorded, but his voice cuts through the roar of battle. For the empire, for the emperor. They fight not to win, but to die remembered. Arrows pierce him, yet he stands driving his spear through a Mongol rider before collapsing into the dust. War in that moment forgets mercy. When darkness falls, the steppe wind sweeps through the shattered gates, carrying with it the stench of ash and blood. The Mongols now hold most of the outer city. Only the inner citadel remains a final circle of resistance. From a hill beyond the smoke, Genghis Khan watches the burning skyline. Flames leap from roof to roof, turning the heavens a deep crimson. He speaks softly, almost to himself. The fire of pride burns brightest, just before it dies. In the ruins below, the surviving citizens huddle together. Some pray to Buddha, some whisper to ancestors. Some simply stare at the sky, wondering how light could ever be so cruel. The city that once glittered like a crown now groans under its own weight. The towers crack. The walls glow red with heat. And through it all, the Mongol drums keep beating, slow, steady, merciless. They call it the breath of iron, the sound of a world reshaped by fire and fear. By dawn, Zhongdu no longer shines. Its gold has melted into shadow. Its songs have turned to screams. And the empire that once believed itself eternal has begun to die. Dawn rises over Zhongdu, but there is no sunlight, only smoke. The city is no longer a fortress. It is a wound. Every street bleeds fire. Every rooftop burns like an altar to a dying god. The Mongols have breached the final gates. From the north and east, they pour in waves of riders armored in soot and ash, their war cries merging with the thunder of collapsing walls. The air itself seems alive, screaming, and above it all, the banners of the wolf, the mark of Genghis Khan, snap like black wings against a sky that has forgotten mercy. Inside the imperial palace, chaos reigns. The golden halls of the Jin, once filled with music, now echo with the crackle of fire and the weeping of servants. Paintings curl into smoke. Silk banners fall in flames. The emperor's throne is half buried in embers. Emperor Xuanzong stands in silence. His robes scorched, his crown crooked upon his head. Outside his windows, the horizon is red. Inside, his ministers plead for surrender. But he knows there will be none. The Mongols do not bargain with cities that kill their envoys. They erase them. He looks to the heavens, and for the first time there is nothing there. No gods, no ancestors, only smoke. In the courtyard, soldiers fight among the flames. Steel clashes against steel. Men vanish into pillars of fire. Horses scream as they fall, burning alive beneath the weight of shattered towers. A Mongol arrow finds the imperial gatekeeper. He collapses against the doors he swore to defend, his blood hissing on the heated bronze. Women throw themselves into wells to escape the inferno. Children hide under the corpses of their fathers. The wind howls through empty streets, carrying sparks that leap from house to house. Zhongdu, the city of gold, is now a pyre. Outside the city, on a ridge veiled in smoke, Genghis Khan watches the inferno. His armor gleams faintly in the glow, not with glory, but with the reflection of a civilization burning. Around him stand his generals Jebe, Subutai, Yoshi, and Tolui, the sons of the steppe. They wait for their Khan's command, but none is given. The silence is his order. The flames will speak for him. He watches as the great towers collapse inward, their golden roofs crumbling like sand. He watches as fire devours the palace, and the sound of collapsing marble rolls like thunder through the plain. For a moment, his face is unreadable. Then he whispers more to the wind than to his men. Heaven is not merciful. Why should we be? Back within the burning walls, the emperor stumbles through corridors turned to furnaces. Servants drag him toward the inner shrine, the last untouched chamber of the palace. Before the statue of the Jade Emperor, he kneels coughing blood and smoke. Great heaven, he gasps. You gave me this city. Why do you take it now? The statue's face melts in the heat, and for the first time in his reign, the Son of Heaven understands what it means to be abandoned. He draws his sword, once ceremonial, now desperate. As the palace roof caves in, he falls forward into the flames consumed by the empire he swore to protect. The Mongols move methodically through the ruins. They kill no longer from hatred, but from momentum, the cold efficiency of soldiers who have done this before and will do it again. By nightfall, the resistance ends. Only the crackle of fire remains. The smell of burning silk and flesh mingles with incense. Ash falls like snow. And from far above the destruction, the moon looks down on Zhongdu as if it were a dying star. Atop the ridge, Genghis Khan mounts his horse. Behind him, the city glows like molten gold in the darkness. He raises his hand once more and the drums fall silent. For a long moment, there is nothing. No screams, no horns, no wind. Only the quiet roar of a world ending. Then he speaks, his voice low, even. Write this in your hearts. No wall stands forever. No empire lasts beyond its arrogance. The wind remembers. His generals bow their heads. The army turns away from the fire, riding into the night as the city collapses behind them. At dawn, the smoke clears. What was once the proud heart of the Jin dynasty is now a wasteland of twisted stone and melted gold. The rivers run black. The air tastes of iron and sorrow. From the ashes, a single raven takes flight, its wings heavy with soot. It circles once above the ruins, then vanishes into the endless sky. And thus Zhongdu falls. Not just a city, but an idea, the belief that power can last forever. When the fires finally die, nothing remains but silence. The city that once dazzled the world lies in ruins, its temples melted into glass, its gardens buried beneath ash. The rivers of Zhongdu run black with soot and sorrow. Only the wind moves now, whispering through the bones of a fallen empire. For 7 days and nights the smoke does not clear. Even the sun, it seems, refuses to look upon what mankind has done. On the 8th day, the Mongol riders return. Not as conquerors now, but as scavengers of history. They move slowly through the charred streets, their horses stepping over bodies and broken relics. Among the ruins, they find the remnants of gold melted into puddles, twisted into shapes that once were crowns, statues, and dreams. But to Genghis Khan, none of it holds meaning. He does not care for gold. He came for silence. Standing atop the highest ruin, he looks down upon what was once the proud heart of China. The smoke curls around him like the ghosts of the city. Subutai approaches and kneels. The city has fallen, my Khan. Heaven itself bears witness. Genghis nods slowly. Heaven watches, he says, but does not judge. That duty belongs to us. Far below, the survivors of Zhongdu crawl from the ashes, mothers clutching infants, monks clutching burned scriptures, soldiers too broken to lift their swords. They stumble through streets that no longer have names. In the ruins of the palace, the wind plays through shattered windows like an elegy. Somewhere a bell tolls a single cracked note that refuses to die. Its echo drifts across the plain, reaching even the Mongol camp. A reminder that even in destruction, something human endures. That night, the Mongols make no celebration, no songs, no feasts, only silence. Even the horses seem to sense the weight of what has been done. Genghis Khan sits alone by a dying fire, the flames reflected in his eyes like a vision of the past. Beside him lies a handful of Zhongdu's soil, dark scorched, still warm. He takes it in his hands, lets it fall slowly between his fingers, and whispers. The earth remembers everything, the blood, the glory, the folly. But it forgets names. He looks toward the horizon where new conquests await, the Song to the south, the Khwarizm to the west, and yet for the first time the great Khan seems weary. Because even the mightiest storm must one day pass, and what remains afterward is not triumph, but dust. In the following months, the Jin Empire collapses entirely. Its nobles flee, its armies scatter. Zhongdu, once the city of gold, becomes a graveyard that no one dares to rebuild. Travelers who pass through its ruins speak of strange sounds at night, of wind that moans like a dying man, of horses that gallop where no living riders tread. They call it the city that burned forever. And somewhere in the distance, the Mongol banners move on to the next city, the next empire, the next story. Years later, when chroniclers write of Genghis Khan's victories, they speak of Zhongdu as a symbol not merely of conquest, but of inevitability. For the world learned something that year: no matter how high the walls, no matter how divine the rulers, everything that stands long enough must one day fall. And when it falls, the steppe wind will carry its ashes to the edge of the earth and whisper its name to the stars, not in triumph, but in remembrance. A century later, the Mongols themselves will fade. Their cities will crumble, their banners torn by the same wind that once carried them to glory. But the story of Zhongdu endures, etched into the memory of time like a scar upon the face of civilization. Because in the end, history is not written by those who build, nor by those who destroy, but by those who remember. The wind rises again. It moves through the ruins, over fields once green, past rivers now gray and still. And if you listen closely, you might still hear the echo of hooves on distant plains, the ghostly rhythm of an empire that believed itself eternal. A whisper carried through the centuries. No wall stands forever, no crown lasts beyond its bearer, but the stories never die.